I'm going to apologize in advance for the quality of this video. I'm going to be moving around a lot. It's going to be really shaky. I'm taking apart my no-nonsense fuel return because I'm selling it, and I thought I'd take a video of how all the pieces went together to clear up any confusion on how this all works. So this is the main assembly that I made. This is using a bunch of different fittings and adapters. Custom bracket that I made out of just a sheet aluminum that I bought at Home Depot. It's just a strip. I notched it here to clear something that I'll show you. So this is your standard aeromotive bypass regulator, and it's got the gauge mounted to it. So there's actually only a tiny amount of actual fuel line here, and this is this little bit of Teflon line right here. So I've got the O-ring boss here, here, and here. Those are aeromotive fittings. And then I've got some Russell fittings here. This is a Russell. It's basically a female to female. So the female to female mounts to the O-ring boss. And then this is a Russell EFI adapter. And this, if you can see, this has a hole here. And that will attach to this stock fuel line, which I'll show you in a second. On this side, I've got just a standard. This is actually all Fragola pieces. So this is a Fragola hose with a Fragola end. This is all -6, and this goes to a. This is actually, I believe, a Russell. Let's see here. Is this Russell? No, that's actually Fragola. So this actual end, this whole end here is Fragola, and this is a 90-degree bend. And then this here is a Russell, another EFI adapter, and this is a quick release. So it's like the stock line where it has this guy. And so what you do with this is this goes on the end of the fuel rail right here, because I've already installed the stock line back on here so it doesn't leak. But you take this off and you pull off, once you take off the hose, you take off this blue one here that came on the stock hose, and you put this one that came with the new fitting on the end here, and then it just snaps back on right here real quick. It's really nice. It's just like OEM. So this guy here, let me get something to show you how that works. It's a little different, a little more complicated, not too bad though. So grab this. I'm going to set this down for a second. Okay, so I just had to loosen it and I had to tighten it on here so it wouldn't fall off. So this guy, get some light on this. This guy here, it spins out. These are a little weird, but once you understand how it works, it's really straightforward. So this guy spins out, and then it's just like it's just like this guy on the inside, except it doesn't have the quick release. So you stick the EFI end in there. You probably can't see it, but it's got an O-ring inside that makes it seal. And then once the EFI end is pushed in, you slip this over the end of the line, kind of like this, right here, on this line. Right here, you slip this over this line like this, except it'll be on this side of it, and then it kind of pushes down, and you just screw it back in, and then you tighten it in. Tighten it. You don't have to tighten a lot, just so it feels snug, and then you're done. And that's connected to the stock line. This line here goes into this end here. This mounts to a place I'll show you, and then this goes directly into the fuel rail. So really simple. That's part of the no-nonsense part of it. So when you're doing this, all you do is take this line off right here. This piece of the OEM line comes out. And then what I did was I actually fished this back. You can't see there's no light back here, but I kind of fished it around so it could push back a little farther underneath the cowl because it's really flexible. And then it just sits a little bit farther back and allows you to hook it into the new line setup. So the bracket I made mounts to this guy right here. It's this little hole, and the notch is to clear this sensor or solenoid, whatever it is. It's hard to see, but there's a little blue plug right here, and I just had to notch that bracket so it would clear Yeah, this mounts in here. I used a couple washers to push it out. You could use you could use a longer bolt and a bigger spacer to push it out if you need to clear stuff. I've kind of modified this area a little bit to make a little more room, but it doesn't require much. You just kind of mess with it a bit until it fits, and then you're good to go. So that's really straightforward. All here, that's all that is. I mean, on the you can still have the stock rail. I apologize the mess. This is my Craftworks setup. It's kind of in transition. But yeah, and you're preserving the stock line here. You don't have to mess with anything on the firewall. The only other issue that you have to deal with is this guy, which is the return line. And this I feed back through here and into the void that you can't see. Maybe I'll get a light here and show it. Try not to die. Alright, so there's the line. There's a lot more light, so I can show you what I was talking about with that bracket and how it clears the this guy right here, because the bracket comes up and I needed a little bit of space around this. I didn't want it to potentially damage this, so I notched it so it would clear. Details make things reliable. So this guy goes, again, this is a Fragola end on Fragola line. It's all Teflon, so it doesn't have any kind of gassing out. It smells. It's all great. I've never, once I installed the Fragola line, I've never once smelled even an ounce of fuel in my car. It's been amazing. So this goes down here, and I had it attached to a whole lot of things underneath the car to keep it from moving. I'm actually going to roll into the car right now and show you. I've unhooked all of the things that I had it connected to, but doesn't mean I can't show you the route it went through. So you can see it a little better under here. It's going behind those lines where you see those two bolt studs. I had it connected to like one of those, I don't know, it's like a hose clamp kind of thing you can put, holds it in place. But nothing's rubbed, the line still looks really good. And then here, give me a second to get position. Alright, so it runs along the side there, and down here, oh, there's this is what I was talking about. It's just slid down the line. So this guy used to go, I had him on the other side of this, so it fit in here. Sorry, really crappy video. So it was in here, and I had it clamped basically to the stock feed line. So it ran all the length of the car here, and I have photos I've taken of this, but it all went all the way down here, and it stayed really nice. No movement, no fraying, really reliable. So I ran it here, get a chance here, and then up behind the evap canister. So yeah, and then from there it goes up into the tank. So let me get a shot of the tank here. There's probably a million photos and video connecting the line to the tank, but in the interest of being thorough, wheels, buy them. Okay, there's the tank setup. So I just there's the line, the other end. Again, this is Fragola end here, and this is a Russell bulkhead, pretty standard. And then I put some Honda Bond around this to seal it. Actually, I think it's Ultra Gray or something. I don't remember what I used, but because it comes with a sealing washer, and you need that. But this plastic's kind of flimsy. Once you modify it, put a hole right there. So I wanted to seal it up a little extra. And again, never had a single whiff of anything fuel in the car, so it's been good. This seals down really nice, and you just got to be careful with this when you're tightening it, because it is plastic. It's mounted to plastic. You want to make sure that you're not herking on it and damage it. But and then again, we have the stock feed here. That's the whole point of the setup. And again, this stock feed, you could change this, and this line is bigger than what actually goes to the firewall at the front of the car. Right here, right in here, you can't see it, but this line that Honda put here, right about here, it converts to a different line. They actually join a different line, and it's smaller. So you can actually run -6 from this with an adapter. So if you get a -6 EFI adapter and then run it out, you can have true -6 all the way to the firewall and a -6 return, which should flow way more than this was. I think Vid Viper tested this setup exactly like this, and he made about 550 horsepower on E85, which, that would be daily driving safe, except he was starting to run out of fuel because E85 needs so much fuel. But if you ran race gas with this, you could probably make over 600 horsepower easily, 650 maybe even on this setup, because race gas needs so much less fuel than E85. So if you run this -6, you could probably make 600 horsepower on E85. We haven't tested it, but I'm pretty sure that the increase in flow would support that. So it's a great setup. It's really easy. I might take another video when I take this apart and show the other key to this, because you don't just set it up like this. If you do this, you'll still have problems. You have to actually get a FPR delete blank from a company in Britain. It's not expensive though. So I'll show that. But otherwise, this is all outside of the gas tank modification has to be done to make this work. I hope this clears up any questions people might have had, and hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Alright, I'm back. I've got the fuel cage out of the car, and I have disassembled it. Pretty standard. Most people have done this a million times. Or if you haven't, there's lots of examples and help online about how to do it. Here's the fitting that I put on there, where I placed it in there. That's a real pain in the ass, just going to say. This webbing in here, getting that out really sucks. So be careful not to damage the top when you try to cut it out. I think I used like the side winding Dremel bit. Made a big mess. I had to wash this thing out afterwards. So take your time, be very careful, and make sure that it gets flush so that it actually will seal. But you need one of those nice nuts that fits over the bulkhead, and tighten it down. Don't make it super tight, but it should feel snug. And then I put the goop on here to seal it because I didn't want it to leak. Anyways, move on to this guy. This is what makes everything work. I've already taken this off because it can be fun to get off of there. I didn't want to deal with that while I was trying to hold the phone. So that comes off, and then this ring comes off here, and normally you'd be removing the stock fuel pressure regulator, which is right here. I'm putting it back into the car, and this has actually already been crushed with the Comptech FPR crusher to raise fuel pressure. I'm going to put it back in there and just run it, even though I'm going to be going back to stock. I can retune it with Flash Pro, and it'll be fine with the increased fuel pressure on the stock injectors. So this guy just pops out. A little bit of fuel is going to come out. So I've got the O-rings on here and the spacer from the stock FPR. So you basically, this guy is from TTS over in Britain, and I'll have to pry this O-ring off, but basically this is just, it's the shape of the stock fuel pressure regulator, as you can see. Precision machined so that the tolerances are just right for it to seal, and then you reuse the stock spacer, and the stock O-ring, you know, and you just slide them on there, both of them. And I'll pull that other O-ring off before I put it in there, but you know, it's pretty straightforward. The difference being, this one has holes in it to pass fuel through and regulate the pressure. This one does not. And so what it does is it forces the fuel pump to just run straight through instead of passing through and getting regulated and all that stuff. The fuel pump just runs straight through the system and then allows you to regulate the pressure in the engine bay, thus allowing you to have a proper fuel return. But other than that, there's not much to it. You just pop this guy in here. You know, you just saw me pull it out. You pop it in there until it's snug, then put this ring back over the top, and then put this guy back on and put it back together. You know, aside from doing this, which I would do this first because it makes a big mess. And so you want to take care of this, clean that up, rinse everything out, make sure it's dry, and then move on to this guy and do this, because this is, you know, you want to be careful with this. Make sure you do it right. And so, yeah, that's it. After you've done all these steps, you've got yourself a no-nonsense fuel return. You won't have to deal with bursting lines in the cage. You know, people had issues with these lines coming off here and going to this spot. You know, you have the submersible line that bursts because it can't handle the fuel pressure. And the other side of this is fully reversible. You know, I'm putting the stock regulator back in here, you know, on this, and then I'm going to put a -6 cap on this, and then I'm going to put it back in the car and run with the stock returnless system again. Normally when you do a fuel return in this car, if you want to return to stock, you have to buy a whole new cage because you've hacked it up. So that's a win-win. You know. Anyways, I'm going to stop videoing now because it's really cold outside and I'm tired of being cold and I need to shut the door. So thanks for watching. I hope this makes this very clear and makes it easy for other people to do this return. It's been awesome. I've loved it on my car. I've had no issues with it. The only thing I didn't do that I was going to do was I was going to get some submersible line and attach it to this with a clamp and then run it down into here so that the return line went straight over to where the fuel is siphoned, just to help it, you know, with picking it back up. I never got around to it. I'd recommend it. I think some 3/8 line or whatever will be perfect. You can just put on there with the clamp and tighten it down as long as the clamp is fuel safe, and then just run it down here. You only need, what, maybe a foot at most. Shouldn't be too expensive and will help you know, keep the system happy. So anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.